What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode review for Rurouni Kenshin Season 2, or the Kyoto Disturbance. This is episode, was it
33.
33, 34. Yeah, with me as always, I have Loosepade.
Yeah. So 33 follows up from the last episode in which Kenshin is going up against one of the 10 swords, which is Cho, who he uses. Well, we find out in this episode he uses like these. I mean, it's hard to really. It's like his katana turns into a whip or something like that, which is not physically possible. But he
We've seen stuff like this in
yeah,
Kenshin before, though.
yeah, it's just but yeah, he well, like at the same time he taunts Kenshin for being a pacifist, over being like his usual uh his usual self as being like, a hired assassin. But eventually Kenshin manages to I mean it's just throughout this entire episode just the fight between him and Cho with Kenshin trying to avoid Cho's whip like attacks before I think it was the bladesmith Seiku enters the temple to retrieve, I guess, his father's last blade that he ended up creating, which
Yeah, and then of course, like the whole time, he's he's watching the fight, and I guess he's trying to determine whether or not Kenshin is worthy to wield his father's new or his last sword. But then he determines that that Kenshin is someone who is worthy because he's not someone that wants to wield the sword just specifically for killing people.
yeah
So yeah, he ends up, of course, helping Kenshin out by, throwing him the his father's last sword, which ends up to be, it ends up being another. I think it was another Sakamoto.
yeah
So
Thus allowing, just pretty much allowing Kenshin to maintain his vow to be a pacifist.
yeah.
And of course, Cho is of course taken into custody by the police, and then of course this follows up into the next episode, which goes into Kenshin's past, which takes place I think sometime after the Battle of Ueno, which of course ushered in the Meiji era in the first place. But with Kenshin, he's this is like the early days of his pacifistic ways, and he gets taken in by this married couple who are recovering. I guess in a way, one of them is trying to recover from the war prior to this,
Well,
and
his arm got cut off.
yeah, and then what was it? And I think of course Kenshin ends up befriending this couple, but not before I think mercenaries or Ronin end up kidnapping, or try kidnapping. I think the husband,
Well,
and of course,
no. So the husband was like, he has this, I forget what it's called. It's a GA or some kind of weapon, that he used. He used to be some kind of like a mercenary. Like he was involved in the war too,
uh
because he recognizes that Kenshin is like a samurai. But he was involved, and I think it was, I'm not sure if it was like the same group of people or somebody, they were the ones that cut off his arm. And they're basically like still looking for him. Like he's basically been hiding, in hiding with this woman. And I guess while he was in hiding, him and this woman like struck up this romantic, supposedly, I guess, this romantic relationship, and she's been pregnant. So basically, yeah, I think they're still looking for him. And of course, like they do end up finding him, and of course, Kenshin as well. Kenshin has been recuperating there, and he's, I guess, temporarily just like staying at their house, until eventually, like, and I saw this coming, like, they eventually find out where, find the house and confront them, and they try to well, the guy that they're after, like he basically offers himself in exchange for letting the woman go. I guess he's essentially like his wife, is letting her go because she's pregnant. But the guy, one of the mercenaries is, he basically says, I'm going to kill all of you anyway. So that's, when Kenshin ends up intervening and fighting them off using the, was it Hitsun Miyugi Ryo? So that they, of course, then recognize him as being the Batosai, which, apparently they're on the same side as that Kenshin was fighting for. But, Kenshin is like, I don't, why should, something like,
Yeah, I
I'm
guess
not
you
on
could
the
say.
side of the people who are, prey on innocent people, or, ask them like why they're preying on, like, innocent people.
Yeah, like he pretty much like urges this guy to cease their hostile actions for the sake of for the
The
sake of
Meiji
the
era.
people. Yeah, pretty much like for the sake of the people who fell in the last war, which I guess the guy ends up complying soon after this. Um, and of course, like during well before this, like during the fight, we do know that like this is the first time that Kenshin ends up using the Sakabato, which was given to him by what was it, Shaku at the time.
Yeah. And I mean, he hesitates to use it for a bit because, um, he has these, flashbacks of killing people, and he's obviously like still kind of traumatized by what he did. But he discovers it's that the Sakamoto, like, won't actually kill anybody. It'll just, all it can really do is hurt them.
Yeah,
But at the same time, it could hurt himself because of the reverse blade.
yeah,
So I kind of like how they had that, I guess, that visual of him seeing himself like with the actual, like, a real katana that would actually kill somebody, facing off against them. Kind of like his other self is, I guess, in a way, like, metaphorically, like the other side of the blade.
hmm yeah, and soon afterwards, the next day, Kenshin thanks the couple for for helping him recuperate, and of course he departs. Pretty much, I guess, at the time marking the start of his time as a Rurouni. And then, of course, it
Yeah.
cuts us back to the present, in which, uh, he accepts his newest version of the Sakamoto that he obtained in the last episode.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting there to be a flashback episode here, but I thought it was pretty good for, like, kind of a self, or more like self-contained episode, just telling, just sort of showing us what happened in Kenshin's past, because we haven't really got a lot of episodes that show much of Kenshin's past. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, we will get a lot more of Kenshin's past, but I mean, if people who've watched like the past series or watched the live action films, there's gonna be more to Kenshin's past, like after the Kyoto Disturbance arc.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was that whole OVA that came out during when the original series was coming out.
Mhm.
Was it Samurai X?
Yeah.
It was basically like, the whole thing was Kenshin's past.
Yeah, and of course, revealing like his past relationship, and of course, leading into like fighting another person of his past, which will come back to haunt him soon after this arc is done.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, if they're planning to to adapt the whole manga, they would have to go into Samurai X arc.
Yeah,
Um, just so, because, yeah, one of the main villains is somebody who's going to come, that actually shows up who, is somebody from that story arc.
yeah. But yeah,
Um,
overall, I did enjoy these two episodes. I mean, well, I mean the fight against Cho, it's like, I mean, I mean, yeah, it's one of the weirder fights with with what kind of weapon Cho uses, but I mean, overall, it did have like a pretty decent conclusion of like of Kenshin obtaining a new Sakamoto, and of course delving back into his past, of him using the Sakamoto for the first time soon after the Meiji era began.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but I don't really have much else to say about the episode, though. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, it was a decent episode. Hopefully we'll get to see what happens next week.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. With that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.